Stop, don't touch him yet. Because if you knew what truly drives him wild, not just physically but psychologically, you'd never chase another man again. Tonight, you learn how to trigger the deepest part of his desire, and it starts with something he can't even explain. This isn't about games, this is about power. The kind of feminine power that doesn't beg, doesn't compete, and doesn't chase. These 5 erotic triggers reach far deeper than looks. They activate something primal in him, something he needs more than he admits. If you're ready to ignite that hunger, listen closely. Most women have been taught to fill silence to talk, to explain, to entertain, to constantly prove their worth through noise. But what if I told you that silence, intentional, grounded, confident silence, is one of the most erotic forces you can wield in a room with a man? It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Because we've been conditioned to believe that silence equals weakness, rejection, or discomfort. But in truth, it is one of the most magnetic, tension-building tools a woman has. Men are used to being overstimulated. They're used to quick reactions, instant replies, constant access. But when a woman knows how to hold a moment, how to pause, how to make eye contact without looking away, how to let her presence speak louder than her voice, something ancient and primal stirs inside him. It is the art of anticipation. It's what suspense feels like. It's what makes a man lean forward, not because she begged for his attention, but because she commanded it without saying a word. Imagine this. You're with him, sitting across from him, and there's a moment, just a beat, when you could speak, you could smile, you could fill the air with words. But instead, you don't. You look at him. You breathe slowly. You let your body language say, I'm not in a rush. I'm not afraid of this space. I'm not performing. I'm here. And in that moment, he feels something shift. His usual rhythm is interrupted. His mind starts racing. What is she thinking? Why does this feel so intense? Why can't I look away? That is the power of controlled silence. It's not passive, it's electric, it's a deep feminine knowing that your presence is enough. You don't need to explain yourself, you don't need to win him over. You already have the upper hand, not because you're cold or distant, but because you are fully grounded in yourself. Controlled silence isn't about being quiet, it's about being present. It's about slowing time down. It's the difference between fast food and a slow, candlelit dinner. One is rushed, forgettable. The other lingers in the memory long after it's over. Most men are used to fast food attention. They've forgotten what it's like to be around a woman who makes them wait, who lets the moment breathe, who allows tension to rise instead of shutting it down. That tension is erotic. That pause is a doorway into imagination, fantasy, depth. It says, I am not afraid of this moment, and neither should you be. Now let's take this deeper. When a woman pauses in the middle of a conversation or while walking across a room or during an intimate moment, that pause creates space. And in that space, a man projects. He wonders, he imagines, he fills that gap with his own desire. And that is where the real power lies, because you've now left the physical realm and stepped into the psychological. You've given him a space where he doesn't just look at you, he feels you, he thinks about you. You've triggered something beyond logic. Controlled silence bypasses his intellect and speaks to his instinct. But here's the key. You must be comfortable in that silence yourself. You must own it. If you fidget, look away, or get nervous, the spell breaks. He'll sense the insecurity and retreat. But if you remain calm, If your body stays relaxed, your breath steady, your eyes soft but unblinking, you communicate something far more powerful than words ever could. I don't chase. I don't need approval. I don't fear being seen. And that confidence, that quiet certainty, it's intoxicating to a man who's been around too many people who try too hard. And don't confuse this with playing hard to get. This isn't a game. This isn't about withholding affection or pretending to be uninterested. It's about embodying a deeper truth, that your worth doesn't require noise, that your presence is a gift he has to rise to meet. You're not performing, you're not entertaining, you are simply being. And in doing so, you invite him to feel something he rarely feels, awe. That awe doesn't come from beauty alone. It doesn't come from curves or makeup or compliments. It comes from the way you hold yourself, from the way you respect the energy between you and refuse to rush it. In a world where everything moves fast, where attention spans are short, and where people are constantly distracted, a woman who can slow a man down, who can pull him into the moment without effort, is unforgettable. She's not the loudest. She's not the most obvious. But she lingers in his mind, and he doesn't even know why. He just knows that with her, he feels something he doesn't feel anywhere else. That's the kind of power controlled silence gives you. It's not about manipulation. It's about mastery of yourself, of the moment, of the energy that flows between you. So tonight, when you're with him, pause. Let your gaze hold just a few seconds longer. Let the silence stretch just enough to make him feel it. Don't rush to speak. Don't try to impress. Just be. Let your stillness become the storm, and watch what happens when a man, for once, isn't fed more words, but is starved into deeper attention. That's when he wakes up. That's when the game changes. That's when you stop chasing and start being chased. There's a certain kind of power that doesn't need words, doesn't need movement, and doesn't even need your physical presence to work its magic. It lingers in the air long after you've left the room. It attaches itself to his memory, slipping into his mind when he least expects it, in a quiet elevator, a crowded train, or in the middle of his sleep. It's the power of scent, the invisible, undeniable, erotic trigger that bypasses logic and hits something primal. You see, a man can forget what you said. He can even forget what you wore, but he will never forget the way you smelled, especially when that scent is tied to intimacy, presence, and emotional impact. Science already proves what women instinctively know. Scent is tied directly to memory and emotion. It's wired into the brain. When you wear a signature scent, something subtle but unforgettable, you create a sensory imprint. It becomes your signature, your essence, the thing he can't touch but can feel. And once he associates that scent with the way you made him feel, the moments you shared, or the electric tension between you, it becomes a trigger. One inhale and suddenly you're with him even when you're not. That's not perfume anymore. That's possession. But here's the secret. Not all scents are created equal. You don't want something loud, synthetic, or trendy. You want something warm, soft, rich, something with depth. Think of scents with amber, musk, sandalwood, a hint of sweetness like vanilla or tonka bean, or even something slightly spicy or earthy. These notes stay close to the skin. They don't scream across the room. They whisper when he leans in. They don't compete. They invite. A signature scent should never wear you. You wear it. It blends with your body's natural chemistry until it becomes something uniquely yours, something no other woman could replicate. And once that happens, once your scent becomes him specific, the one he links to passion, mystery, and emotional electricity, you've created a pathway directly to his subconscious. That's when it becomes dangerous. That's when he's at work and catches a whiff of something similar on a stranger and his heart drops. That's when he walks into a room where you used to be and feels haunted. That's when a part of him aches. Not because you said something clever, not because you did something wild, but because you smelled like home and now you're gone. That's the kind of mark no woman can fake and no man can erase. And don't underestimate the intimacy of scent. It invites closeness. A man has to come near to truly notice it. It lives in the spaces between the words, in the way you brush past him, in the softness of your neck, the warmth of your wrist. When you hug him, when you sit beside him, when you lean in, that scent becomes a drug. He breathes you in without realizing what it's doing to him. It calms him, excites him, confuses him. He doesn't even understand why he keeps thinking about you, but his body does. Even after the night is over, your scent stays on his clothes, on the pillow, in his car. You become a ghost he doesn't want to forget, and the more he tries to shake it off, the more it clings, not just to his senses, but to his soul. This isn't seduction through effort. This is seduction through essence. This is femininity in its most potent form, invisible, undeniable, unforgettable. But here's what separates a woman who uses scent consciously from one who doesn't: intention. You don't just wear perfume to smell nice. You wear it with awareness. You apply it slowly, mindfully, like a ritual. You choose one scent and let it be yours. Not a new one every week, not whatever's trendy. You let it become part of your identity. And you don't overdo it. This isn't about drowning him in fragrance. It's about making him lean in. It's about being close enough for him to crave more, never overwhelmed, just drawn in. Subtle is powerful. Whispered seduction always outlasts a shouted performance. So tonight, when you're getting ready, don't just ask yourself what you'll say or how you'll look. Ask yourself, what will he remember when I'm not there? What will make him turn his head when a familiar scent hits him out of nowhere? What will make him ache for a moment that already passed? That's the kind of impression scent can make. One that outlives the moment, one that lingers long after you walk away. The body may be absent, the voice may be quiet, but scent? It stays, it follows, it reminds, it haunts, and when used with intention, it makes sure you become unforgettable, not just to his skin, not just to his mind, but to his soul. There is a profound and magnetic shift that happens when a woman stops asking, "What does he want from me?" and starts declaring, "This is what I want." That shift from pleasing to desire changes the entire dynamic between a man and a woman. Most women have been taught to soften their needs, to filter their passion, to be agreeable, flexible, accommodating, as if their worth is determined by how easily they can bend themselves to fit someone else's hunger. But true feminine power isn't about minimizing yourself to keep the peace. It's about standing in your desire with clarity, confidence, and unapologetic truth. Because a woman who knows what she wants and speaks it awakens something in a man that no amount of passive approval ever could. Let's be clear, men are not drawn to perfection. They're drawn to intensity, to vitality, to the fire in a woman's spirit. And there is nothing more intense, more alive than a woman who speaks from her desire, not from her fear. When you say, "I want to feel your hands on my skin," instead of, "Do you like this?" you become a force, not a question mark. When you say, I crave depth, I want you to meet me there, instead of, is this okay with you? You aren't asking for permission, you're extending an invitation to step into something bold, real, and powerful. That doesn't push him away, that pulls him in. Because finally, he's not playing a guessing game, he's being guided into the fire. Speaking desire doesn't mean being aggressive or loud. It means being clear. Clear in your tone, your words, your energy. And more than anything, it means dropping the mask of pleasing. That performance that says, I'll be what you want so you don't leave. Men see through that. They may not say it out loud, but they feel when you're shrinking to keep them comfortable. And while that might earn momentary approval, it never creates deep, lasting attraction. Because the truth is, no man ever truly falls for the woman who only reflects his desire. He falls for the woman who reflects her own, boldly, honestly, without shame. Desire is not dirty, it's divine. It is not something to be hidden under polite words and cautious smiles. When you speak it, when you say, I want to feel more, I need more intensity, I crave deeper connection, more touch, more passion, more presence, you aren't being demanding, you're being real. And that truth breaks through the numbness most men walk around with. It's rare, it's raw, and it's exactly what reawakens a man's masculine edge. Because suddenly, he's not just being wanted, he's being challenged to rise. And let's go deeper. Desire is not just sexual, it's emotional, spiritual, intellectual. Maybe your desire is to be ravished, maybe it's to be listened to for hours, maybe it's to be held like you matter, to be protected, to be adored, to be seen. Whatever it is, speak it. Don't hint. Don't manipulate. Don't hope he reads between the lines. Give him the gift of your clarity, because when you do, you give him something to work with. You give him something to respond to, something to step into. You light a fire, not just in his body, but in his purpose. A man doesn't want to build a life with a woman who disappears into his preferences. He wants a woman who brings her own vision, her own hunger, her own storm. A woman who doesn't wait for permission to feel. That doesn't mean being controlling or cold. It means being awake. And when you are awake to your own desire, not just in the bedroom, but in every moment, you radiate a kind of power that doesn't need to chase or convince or prove. It simply is. And that is becomes undeniable. Now here's the truth most people won't say. Desire is vulnerable. Speaking it means risking rejection. It means showing your cards. And that's exactly why most avoid it. But here's the paradox. When you hide your desire to protect yourself, you lose the very connection you were trying to build. But when you speak it, even if your voice shakes, even if you're scared, you create real connection. You create intimacy. You invite him into your world, your truth, your fire. And if he's the right man, he won't run, he'll lean in. Because men, real men, don't want perfection. They want passion. They want a woman who feels deeply and isn't afraid of it. So tonight, don't ask him what he wants, ask yourself what you want. Then speak it, whisper it, declare it. Whether it's in your words, your body, your eyes, your breath, let him feel that you are not here to please. You are here to experience. You are here to connect. You are here to burn. And if he's ready, he'll rise to meet you there. And if he's not, that's not your loss. Because a woman who speaks from desire doesn't beg for crumbs. She creates a feast, and only those who can match her hunger are invited to the table. This is the heart of feminine power, not control, not compliance, but expression. Pure, unapologetic, embodied expression. And when a woman lives from that place, not only does she turn him on, she wakes him up. There is a language more ancient than words, one that speaks directly to the nervous system, bypasses thought, and goes straight to the soul. It's the language of touch. And within that language, the most powerful dialect is slowness. When a woman owns the slow touch, she holds the kind of erotic command that most will never even understand, let alone master. Because we live in a world of speed, rushed conversations, rushed intimacy, rushed emotion. Everything is about efficiency. But true seduction, real unforgettable connection, thrives in the opposite. It's in the pause, the glide, the gentle press, the breath held for just a second too long. And when you, as a woman, slow your touch with intention, with presence, with confidence, you immediately separate yourself from every other interaction he's ever had. The slow touch is not just about teasing his body. It's about taking control of the tempo, of the energy, of the moment. A woman who moves slowly is not hesitant. She is sovereign. She is not unsure. She is deliberate. She is not submissive. She is magnetic, because slowness in touch requires you to feel, to pay attention, to stop performing and start embodying. You're not rushing to the goal. You are the experience. And that shift from action to presence is where everything changes. When you reach for his hand and take your time, when your fingers trail lightly over his chest, his jawline, the back of his neck, something awakens in him. He becomes aware. Aware of his own body, aware of yours, aware of the weight and meaning of every second. Because in slowness, the mind quiets and the senses come alive. He can feel your skin, your warmth, your breath. He's no longer distracted. He's with you completely. And that kind of attention isn't just physical, it's emotional. It's deeply connecting. Fast touch is about reaction. Slow touch is about creation. It's an art form. And the artist, you must believe in her own power, because the truth is, speed often hides insecurity. It's a cover for discomfort. But when you go slow, you say with your body, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of desire. I'm not afraid of what this moment could become. That kind of courage is devastatingly attractive. It tells him you are not just willing to be touched, you are willing to touch back with full awareness, full participation, full presence. That is rare, that is holy, that is unforgettable. Now understand this, the slow touch is not always sexual, it's erotic, which is deeper. Erotic energy is about aliveness, tension, connection. You can touch his arm with slowness while pouring coffee and make him forget how to speak. You can brush past him on your way to the kitchen and let your fingertips linger on his back for just half a second and change the course of his entire day. That's what makes slowness so powerful. It's not about the obvious, it's about the impact. And impact comes not from volume, but from intention. When your touch says, I see you, I feel you, I'm here with you, he melts, not because he's weak, but because you've just given him something he didn't even know he was starving for, attuned, feminine presence. Men are used to touch that's transactional, quick hugs, empty affection, robotic responses. But when your touch is slow, it becomes a mirror. It shows him that this moment matters, that his body matters, that you matter. You're not trying to seduce him with speed. You're awakening his ability to receive. That is no small thing. Most men are stuck in doing, performing, proving. But when you move slowly, with full awareness, you invite him into being. That's not just erotic, that's transformational. And here's the key. You must feel what you're doing. You can't fake slow. It's not about dragging out the motion. It's about being inside the motion. It's about soft eyes, soft breath, and grounded energy. You're not thinking about what's next. You're not trying to produce a reaction. You're feeling every second. And in doing so, you teach him silently how to meet you in that space, how to slow down, how to match your rhythm, how to listen with his skin. And once he learns that, he'll never want to rush again. The slow touch says, I'm in control, not because I dominate you, but because I trust myself. It's the kind of control that doesn't seek to overpower, but to magnetize. And that's what makes it irresistible. He won't know why he's drawn to you. He'll just know that when you touch him like that, like he's not a task, not a target, not a toy, something inside him softens. Walls come down, breath deepens. Masculinity humbles itself before the elegance of your slowness. So the next time you touch him, anywhere, anytime, don't rush. Let your hand stay longer than usual. Let your fingers pause, trace, explore with reverence. Let the silence between words be filled with the electricity of contact. Don't underestimate what that does, because while others chase intensity with noise and speed, you are cultivating something far more powerful, depth. And a man who tastes that kind of depth, even for a moment, will spend the rest of his life craving more. Slow is sacred. Slow is sovereign. Slow is unforgettable. Own it, and you own the moment, the energy, and the memory he'll never be able to shake. Confidence in stillness is one of the rarest, most potent forms of feminine power a man can encounter, and it's almost always misunderstood. We've been conditioned to equate confidence with doing, with being loud, fast, visible, reactive. But the highest form of confidence doesn't always roar. It doesn't perform. It doesn't announce itself with glitter and noise. It holds. It waits. It anchors. Confidence in stillness is what a woman radiates when she is deeply rooted in herself, when she knows that she does not need to chase, explain, prove, or beg. Her energy speaks louder than her words, and a man who meets a woman in this state feels it instantly, not as pressure, not as resistance, but as gravity. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is containment. It is the choice to sit in the heat of a moment without flinching, without scrambling to fix, to smooth, to perform. And when you, as a woman, can hold stillness in moments of emotional charge, whether it's during a flirtatious pause, a passionate conversation, or a vulnerable silence, you become unshakable. You show him through your presence alone that you are not looking to escape intense. You are not looking to be rescued from your own feelings. You can hold yourself. And that is deeply erotic. A man may be physically strong. He may lead in boardrooms, build empires, move through the world with masculine force. But when he meets a woman who can stay emotionally still in the presence of uncertainty, vulnerability, or even confrontation, his entire system recalibrates. He sees in her something he didn't know he needed: emotional mastery. Not coldness, not aloofness, but regulated, grounded stillness. The kind that allows space for truth to emerge, for desire to build, for safety to deepen. It's the woman who doesn't rush to fill every silence, who ends up being the one he listens to the most. Think about it. How often do people rush to fill space with laughter, with noise, with validation, with apologies? But a woman who pauses, who lets a moment breathe, who meets his gaze and doesn't look away, who listens fully before responding, that woman becomes unforgettable. Because stillness in a world addicted to reaction is radical. It tells him, I trust myself. I don't need to control this moment to feel powerful. I can be here with all of it. That's not just attractive, that's mesmerizing. Stillness also builds tension, and tension, when held skillfully, is the birthplace of both intimacy and desire. When you lean into a man and simply wait, without rushing the kiss, without over-explaining your feelings, without trying to predict or manage his reaction, you create an opening, an invitation. He leans in not because you demanded it, but because your silence pulled him forward. That is how stillness works. It doesn't chase, it magnetizes. Now let's talk about one of the most misunderstood elements of stillness, how it holds during conflict. Most people think confidence in love means being quick with comebacks, always having the last word, or dominating the emotional space. But real power is when you can pause, breathe, and respond from truth, not from panic. When you don't lash out, shut down, or try to win. When you simply stand still, calm, aware, composed. Not because you're suppressing your feelings, but because you're not afraid of them. That level of emotional stillness breaks patterns in men. It disrupts the cycle of fight or flight. It creates room for real intimacy, for transformation, for connection that goes beyond just who's right or wrong. It's when he sees that you're not just beautiful, you're wise, you're not just seductive, you're stable. And that stability, when rooted in softness, is the most alluring thing in the world. Stillness is also where your feminine mystique lives. In a world where everything is constantly revealed, explained, and analyzed, mystery is rare. But when you hold stillness, you hold a sense of what is not said. A glance, a breath, a half smile. These become more powerful than 1,000 words. You give him something to wonder about, to work for, to rise to, and that wonder, that curiosity, keeps him coming back, not because you're playing games, but because you've cultivated depth. And depth cannot be rushed. So the next time you feel the urge to fill the space, to answer too fast, to move too quickly, pause. Just pause, sit with your breath, feel your body, look at him without apology. Don't fidget, don't rush. Let the moment stretch. Let him feel your presence. Because the woman who can stay still when everyone else is running, she becomes the one he doesn't forget. Not because she chased him, not because she convinced him, but because her stillness revealed a truth he couldn't find anywhere else. Here is a woman who doesn't fear the fire. She is the fire and the calm center of it all. The moment after intimacy, after the peak, after the climax, after the deep connection is unfolded, is one of the most potent yet most overlooked opportunities a woman has to leave an unforgettable imprint on a man's heart, mind, and body. This moment is what we call the afterglow, and most people rush past it. They get up, they check their phones, they talk too much, they downplay what just happened. But the women who understand afterglow power, who know how to be in that sacred, quiet space, are the ones who live in a man's soul long after the lights go out. Afterglow power is not about being passive. It's about presence. It's about how you hold the silence that follows the storm. It's how you allow yourself to remain open emotionally, energetically, physically, without losing your center. It's when the physical act is over, but the emotional and energetic imprint has only just begun. And this is where most women either anchor their presence in his heart or let the connection quietly dissolve. The woman who owns her afterglow isn't scrambling to interpret the moment. She's not wondering what it meant or how she looks or whether he'll stay. She's there, soft, present, glowing, still. That stillness is more powerful than anything you could say, because what he feels is she's not trying to hold me. She's letting me feel held by something bigger. Most men don't get to feel that kind of depth, especially in the moments after sex. They may get pleasure, they may get release, but rarely do they feel reverence. That's what the afterglow offers. A taste of reverence, a sacred pause, the echo of something deeper than the body. And when you, as a woman, stay in that space, in your breath, in your softness, in your quiet knowing, you offer him a rare gift. Peace. You may not know how to name it, but he'll feel it. His guard drops. His mind quiets. His heart opens. Not because you tried to make it open, but because you gave him space to feel safe enough to let it happen. The power of afterglow is that it says, without words, I don't need to prove anything now. I don't need to cling. I don't need to ask for more, because everything that needed to be said has already been felt. And when a man is met with that kind of trust, that kind of depth, something shifts in him. He starts seeing you as a moment and starts seeing you as a woman he can't forget. Not because you tried to make yourself unforgettable, but because you knew how to hold the silence after the crescendo with dignity, presence, and grace. There's a kind of royalty in a woman who stays grounded in afterglow. She doesn't collapse into neediness. She doesn't rush to define the moment. She doesn't jump into her head. She stays in her body. She lets the sacredness linger. Maybe it's the way she breathes next to him, the way her fingertips trace his arm, the way she rests without urgency, without fear. That kind of presence doesn't just make a man want more. It makes him reconsider what more even means, because suddenly this isn't just about physical intimacy. It's about emotional imprint. It's about something real, alive, holy. And here's the thing, afterglow power isn't about being distant or cold. It's about being full. You're not waiting for him to affirm the moment because you've already felt it in every cell of your being. You're not seeking reassurance because you're giving it through your energy. You're not filling the space because the space is already rich with presence. And this, paradoxically, is what makes a man crave closeness, not because you're demanding it, but because you're resting in it. You're not trying to extend the moment. You are the moment. And that's what he remembers when he walks away. That's what stays in his skin, in his breath, in his dreams. So tonight, don't underestimate the moments after. Don't rush to fix your hair or read his mind or overthink what happens next. Stay, breathe, let the silence wrap around you like silk. Let your body speak in its stillness. Let your energy say what words can't, because if you can hold that space, that sacred, radiant, grounded afterglow, you'll give him something no performance ever could, a memory of what it feels like to be with a woman who doesn't disappear the second it's over, because she was never pretending in the first place. She was real, she was present, she was the flame and the calm after it.